The council just rejected a proposal for a new marijuana dispensary in a very public, fairly high-traffic area. Where should those go?
Yeah, it's a great question. So yeah, by and large, with the legalization of marijuana in the state, I support the town, citing new dispensaries. I don't necessarily view them as that much different than a liquor store or a grocery store from that sense. Obviously, I think that the specific challenge that rose with this issue is that it was in an area that's had long-standing traffic issues, and so I think that's why this one was pretty sensitive. But where should they go? Again, there's a zoning code. If something's meeting the zoning standards, meets the qualifications for a special use permit, by and large, I think it's something that the town will approve.
Public feedback on that issue is diverse and split among those who say no, none, never,
right,
to those who say yeah, but not there, and those who say yeah, it's just like a liquor store pretty much anywhere. So where should the council be in parsing that cross-section of that diversity of public opinion? You don't want to get too far ahead of public opinion. You don't want to be behind public opinion.
Great point.
So how does that inform where you would cite things?
Yeah, and again, I would always defer back to where our zoning code is, and the town has adopted language specific.
Well, the zoning code says that location at the shops at College Hills would have been okay, and yet they rejected it. So would you have okayed it? Would you have voted yes?
I would have voted no on it. And again, I think that in the language related to the special use permit, there is a lot of language talking about safety and wellness of the public, other items. And again, I think that candidly, I think that developer found probably a perfect storm where there was actually some credible concerns about a location, whereas I think by and large elsewhere in town, I think those things are going to be approved. And again, by and large elsewhere in town, I'm going to be supportive.
So not completely zoning then?
No, I think it's still zoning. I mean, you have to meet standards of a special use permit, and I think that, again, at least the feedback I heard from other council members that I agreed with is that, there certainly were concerns with some of the implications of what you need to meet for special use.
Does there need to be a town council discussion about this to reconsider citing criteria?
I think it's always important to have healthy discussions of ordinances, especially it's an industry that's going to grow, right? The state approved kind of an initial amount of licenses across the state. Obviously, that number is increasing, so we're going to see more of them. I think it's certainly something we'll just want to monitor and keep up to date. Is now the right time for a discussion? Sure. I don't think there's a bad time to talk about it and just make sure that we're doing things the right way and that the decisions that were made in the past meet the reality of the present.
There's a pretty broad cross-section of public opinion, though, that says, it's not just like a liquor store, which raises the question, how many is too many marijuana dispensaries at the current moment in society?
That's a really great question, Charlie. I don't know if there's a magic number I have in mind. Again, I think we've seen that there are a lot of obstacles to enter that market at a state level. It's really challenging for someone that wants to permit and build a dispensary to go through the state process. So I think that to some extent what we're seeing is there's some level of barrier to entry that's going to slow kind of a natural slow to the process. Obviously, it's going to increase over time, and I don't know if the state will reevaluate at any point kind of where they're at and how these things should be licensed or approved. But
so could you give a ballpark range about how many you think is too many at the current moment?
I don't know. I can't because, again, I think that a lot of it's going to be market driven, and candidly, there's a lot that's going to be kind of driven by the state. I think we're going to have to analyze them on a case-by-case basis and, say, hey, where does this fit with what we're trying to do as a town and in terms of our planning and zoning, and that's kind of where I'm at. I don't think there's a magic number.